Today on Serenity Ridge Kitchen, we are going to be cooking one of my favorite standby meals that I take to lunch all the time because it freezes great afterwards, and that is green chili chicken enchiladas. Let's learn how to cook. The first thing that we need to do is get our chicken ready. And so if you don't know how to poach a chicken, and there are a number of ways of doing it, but I'm going to show you a very simple way, and we're going to poach some of this chicken so that we can shred it very nicely into our chicken enchiladas. One of the first things that I like to do is clear off some of this fat that's on here and just take a pair of cooking scissors. And if you just got that big layer of fat, just cut it off. And we're placing it in a bowl right here. And we're going to poach this chicken a little bit to make it ready for shredding. Another fat here, just trim it off. And we want to make sure we're not going to cook too much. We're not going to make the chicken overlapping because we are going to season it here in just a second. So we're going to put in what we can put in, and it'll be more than what we need for this chicken enchilada meal, but I use shredded chicken on other things that you'll be seeing soon. All right, so we have them all in there like that now. Now we want to do a little bit of seasoning with it, and I've got one of my own creations here, a chicken and pork rub right here. Just going to sprinkle it, covering these chicken breasts. And this rub is specifically designed for chicken. I use it for grilling chicken. I use it for any of the grilling with chicken and pork, although I have some other stuff that I do with pork too. All right, now we want to cover this in about an inch of water. So I'm putting water in here right now, and I'm going to cover the chicken about an inch over the chicken. Now I know you're seeing some of that rub wash off one of the chickens, and that's okay. It's going to be in the water and it's going to boil into it. So a little bit more here. All right, now that we have our chicken covered with water, we're going to put it on the stove and bring it to a good boil. And then after it's in a good boil, we will simmer it for a while to make it good and cooked all the way through. Steve Vincent here, founder of Serenity Ridge Kitchen. And I want to invite each one of you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, so that you get every video of me cooking meals and showing how to prepare some great, delicious meals. Meals you want to use for your family, meals you want to use for parties, meals you want to use for snacks, meals you want to do for meal prep so that you always have something available in the freezer. All of this will be coming out in Serenity Ridge Kitchen. But I also want to ask you to consider becoming a Patreon member of Serenity Ridge Kitchen. The link will be in the comments below. But what you will see here is a step-by-step recipe and ingredients and everything involved in making not just the meals that I show on video, but other ones I'll upload the stuff for just for you to be able to always have something at your fingertips. So consider becoming a Patreon member of Serenity Ridge Kitchen. Check out the notes below to get all the information for that. In the meantime, we are going to cut up our green chilies. Now, you can use different kinds of chilies if you want to. My favorite that I use is the Hatch green chilies. But if you want to use poblano peppers or Anaheim peppers or something like that to do it, that's entirely up to you. And we want to get about 4 ounces of the green chilies. Now, what I want to make sure you understand is you want to, I've already peeled these, by the way. They've been roasted and peeled, and maybe one day I'll do a video on how to roast and peel, although I usually buy mine completely roasted. So these have been roasted and peeled. You take the stems off, throw them away, and then just chop. You're probably going to want to take out some of the seeds because it's just going to be a little bit too hot for you. But believe me, a lot of the hotness is going to disappear when you put it in the tortilla of the enchiladas, and you put cheese and other stuff like that into it. The hotness will disappear. You want to use enough green chilies to where you fill up about a ½ cup, because that's what it'll take in the mixture with that. All right, so and I'll have to add some more to this here, but that's okay. All right, so then the other thing you're going to want to do is take 3 cups of Monterey Jack cheese, which I have right here. I'm going to mix into here a little less than a cup, more than a ½ cup of cheddar cheese. Okay? And we will be using more of that cheddar cheese later. So we're going to mix that up real good because we want to put them in the enchiladas kind of all mixed up. All right? So that's all done. So let me go check our chicken, see if I need to take it off the heat. All right, our chicken was boiling. I took it off the heat. We want to let it just simmer for about 10 to 16 minutes. Just we'll have to check it to see if it's done. And we'll be ready to be shredded. Some of the other ingredients we will be using that you'll need to have on hand is cumin, some garlic powder, and some onion powder. You'll also want to have green enchilada sauce, and some sour cream, and even some cooking spray that you'll want to put in your pan. And we will be doing that in a little while. So we'll be back once the chicken is ready to start mixing everything together. Our chicken has been boiled successfully and is cooked, so now we're going to shred it. And one of the easiest ways that I found to shred chicken is using an old-fashioned blender. And just drop the chicken breast inside of there and turn it on. And in almost no time at all, it is shredded and dumped in here. And I've already done several of them here, more than enough actually. And now what we're going to use here is 4 cups of this shredded chicken. 3, and 4. All right. Put that other bowl aside right there. Now, we have here in our pot here, all we have right now is the shredded chicken. Earlier, we mixed together the cheddar and the Monterey Jack cheese into this bowl. And so we've got our spices here, and the first one we're going to put is a ½ teaspoon of the cumin, and a ¼ teaspoon of the onion powder, and a ¼ teaspoon of the garlic powder. All right, so we got all of those on there ready to go. So now I'm just going to take a spoon and I am going to mix that all together as well as I can. The chicken, the green chilies, the cheese, all the spices. Let's just get those good and turned in there, mixed up real well. These ingredients pretty much all mixed up now. And so now it's time to get our pan ready because we will be getting the tortillas ready here in just a minute. So I'll get a 9 by 13 pan, and I get some spray. I use olive oil spray to coat the pan real well so that our enchiladas will come out. Now is where we need to warm up the corn tortillas so that they can be rolled in with the ingredients here. So the way that I warm them up is get a paper towel and I wet it just a little bit. And I put the paper towel on a plate. I may have wet this a little bit too much, it won't hurt anything. And that I take about 5 tortillas at a time because they cool off pretty fast. Wrap them in the towel. And put them in the microwave for about 40 seconds. In the meantime, getting my sour cream out. And those of you who aren't a sour cream fan, it cooks in really well with the enchiladas. But if you want to leave this part out, I guess you can. Or you can put less sour cream in there. I have found that it adds to the flavor. You really don't get a real sense of sour cream flavor in there because you're not putting that much. All right. So now, get our first batch of tortillas. And they're pretty pliable right now and can be used and turned. So I lay them here on this flat surface right here, and they are pretty hot right now. They won't stay that way long, so I've got to get going with them. So now I just take some of this mix that we got, the chicken, the cheese, the green chilies, the spices we put in there, and lay across the tortillas. And this is the part right here that, and you know, there's no exact amount here. Now this is the part right here that those of you who don't like the sour cream, you don't have to put it in there, but take a drop of the sour cream in there. You'll have plenty of flavor without the sour cream, but I happen to like it with sour cream, and I think most people will too. All right, and then hopefully the tortillas are still warm enough to be able to turn. Put them into the pan with the fold side down. Good there, they're sticking together pretty well. Fold side down. And then you repeat. Get your plate, your paper towel still wet, put 5 more on. And just continue this process until you filled your pan. Got to thinking, while I was warming up these bit of tortillas here, that earlier in the day, that chicken breast was a whole piece of chicken. And it probably thought it was going to remain whole and maybe end up being a, something like a good chicken cordon bleu or something really fancy. And then all of a sudden it faced a lot of heat. It boiled. And then when it finished boiling, it got shredded. I mean, shredded into tiny, bitty pieces of chicken. And it kind of made me start thinking about my life some, and that there are times that I might be thinking something, I'm on the right path, things are going great, I'm going to be a success on something, God is going to use me in tremendous ways, and then all of a sudden I face some major heat. And basically, in some ways, my life gets to a broil. And then everything just gets shredded. And what the dreams that I had for before were all gone. They've been shredded. And I wonder, what else is there in life now? Is this the end? Is all there is? And, did God forsake me? Did all of any of that stuff? I got shredded. And, as I was thinking about it from the perspective of this chicken breast, it has no idea that even though it's going to be mixed with a lot of other stuff, some of it by itself, like onion powder or cumin or something like that, just doesn't have, we don't want that in our lives. We'd rather things go nice. And it had no idea. And, at this point in the meal prep here, it still has no idea that it is going to end up being a delicious meal, one of my favorites. And so that kind of made me start thinking, like I said, about myself here, and knowing that when my life seems to get all shredded up sometimes, God says in the Bible in Romans 8:28 that He causes all things to work together for good for those who love God and who are called according to His purpose. And so I've got to believe that in those times when like this chicken, I was totally shredded, that God is going to use all of this. He's going to take all of these ingredients together, everything that's happened to this chicken, being mixed with hot green chilies, being mixed with cumin and onion powder and garlic powder and cheese, and all of these things happening, and it's going to end up having some other stuff just poured over the top of it. That the end result, God makes all things work together for good. And so that's what I believe, and that's what this chicken enchiladas kind of are representing to me today. So let me finish making these, and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, now I've got all of the enchiladas in the pan right here, and now using some green chili enchilada sauce, I am going to just pour very liberally over and everything here. And I use just about 2 cans of this, and so I give it a good dousing and let it just totally soak into there. And it's probably too much, but I kind of like it, and it just going to cook into it real well. Then we get the remainder part of our cheese and start sprinkling it over the top. Aha. I love this part. I like cheese. All right, so our oven is being preheated right now to 375. So once it's preheated, we'll be back to put it in the oven. All right, our oven is preheated. So we're going to slide this guy on in. Okay, so now we're going to let this thing cook here for 20 minutes. Setting my timer on it right now. And there we go. Countdown begin. I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Hi, Steve Biddison here again, and I am the founding member of the Serenity Ridge Network. And right now, all you are seeing is the Serenity Ridge Kitchen, but there's going to be many more shows added to the Serenity Ridge Network here. So I want to invite you all just to stay tuned, and I'll be advertising on here different ones as they become available within the course of the next year. So stay with me here, subscribe to this one, and be on the lookout for more programs on the Serenity Ridge Network. Well, it should be done now. So let's pull it out and take a look at it. I'll use these. Oh, that looks good. Too hot to eat right now, but yes, sir, that is good stuff there. Well, we've only got one more thing to do, and that is to taste it, to eat it. This is good stuff. Try it out, cook it at home, and let me know what you think. Well, that's a wrap on our first episode of Serenity Ridge Kitchen, where we made green chili chicken enchiladas. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus video on this, on how to make similar enchiladas, but if you really like that kick, if you really like that spice, and if you want to look at the red type enchiladas as opposed to the green type enchiladas, I'm going to give you that bonus one. That the enchiladas are all made the same, so I won't go through all of that, but I will go through how to make that very tasty, spicy ranchero sauce. And so some of you are going to love that. And so I will do that one for you shortly. So thank you for joining me here with this first episode of Serenity Ridge Kitchen. And please subscribe to the channel, as there's going to be many more things coming, not just here in the kitchen.